We have seen a reckless and unprecedented violation of Poland and Europe's airspace by more than 10 Russian Shahid drones. Europe stands in full solidarity with Poland.
Meantime, Ukrainian officials say Russia's overnight attack killed one person and injured several others. Ukraine's Air Force says the attack involved over 400 drones and more than 40 missiles. Joining me now to discuss is Andrew Rasiulis, retired official of the Department of National Defense. Andrew, great to see you this morning. What do you make of Russia's actions? Do you believe that this was intentional, or, as Belarus says, it was all an accident?
It could be a combination of the two, really. I think we have to look at what's happening strategically. The Russians are mounting the beginning of their fall offensive. They have decided that they will not be able to reach a compromise deal, or a deal that is in their favor, with the Ukrainians through any kind of negotiation at present. So they are now on a war path. They are now increasing their war effort against Ukraine, both in the ground and in the air. And this was a continual range of large-scale attacks against Ukraine. Now, the question is, were these missiles, which sometimes do fly close to the Polish border in order to hit western Ukraine, was this, as the Belarusians are saying, a jamming exercise? Because the Ukrainians would be jamming them. So that's a possibility. We'll have to see what the investigations are. The other one, if we want to speculate, is the Russians are continuing to signal to NATO and Western countries that, don't think about putting boots on the ground in Ukraine, because we're prepared to take you on. So that's a more aggressive interpretation. I'm not saying that's what it is, but it could be to show, look, we're going to test your air defenses in case one day we may have to fight you if you put your boots on the ground, which we've told you not to do. So this is, I think, what's going on here. We don't know the ground truth yet, but the investigations hopefully will reveal that.
So tell us more then about NATO's actions moving forward. As we mentioned, Poland is on high alert. They have triggered now Article 4, which means an emergency meeting of NATO allies, which, of course, includes the United States, President Trump. What will happen, do you think, next?
Well, this is all about firming up NATO's eastern defense of its territories, the eastern flank, which, of course, includes Canada. Canada has the brigade in Latvia, for example, very close to all of this. But so this means that NATO is taking now whatever steps are necessary to beef up its air defenses and its ground defenses as well. But really, we're talking air defense systems in case there are any further incursions. So it's a bit of a ramp up. This is not a panic, but this is Article 4, which has now been activated, is a consultative mechanism. It's been activated a few times before. It is a logical stepstone, part of a controlled escalation or counter-escalation, if you will. And so we'll have to wait and see, but everything is under control right now. It's interesting. It's tense, but under control.
It's worth noting that the last time Article 4 was activated was in February of 2022 when Russia attacked Ukraine. Okay, so my last question then to you is, if it is determined through an investigation that this was intentional, then what does NATO do? And actually, Andrew, can that be determined?
I'm not an expert on these systems and how they look at their guidance systems, but they have the pieces in Poland. So the experts will look at it, and they will make some kind of determination. There's also radar, the flight plans. You can say these systems, the Russians are saying the systems were not long range. They couldn't have reached Ukrainian territory. They had to be, like the way they were going, so they were deflected. I mean, that's an argument, right? So the experts will look at flight plans. They will look at the actual substance of the drones that they have found in Poland and try to put together a piece. So I will not stay away from the technical analysis, but on a political military point of view, NATO will take this as a need to strengthen its defenses and remain on guard. But this is not to go to war with Russia, because Russia clearly at this point for sure is not going to war with Poland and NATO. So we're not at that level at all. But we are playing aggressive because of the war in Ukraine. We come back. This is all about Russia trying to defeat the Ukrainians in a substantial way to get what they want from Ukraine presumably, I think by 2025, the end of the year, the Russians are really putting on the pressure now.
I think it also says, Andrew, that Putin isn't serious about a ceasefire or a peace deal, as Trump was saying he was a couple weeks ago.
Putin is not serious at all about a ceasefire, and he actually made that point to Trump in Alaska. He wanted a peace settlement first, before a ceasefire. That's very clear from the Russian position. Now, what does that mean? That means the Russians want a peace settlement on terms favorable to their objectives. And until they get that, and Ukrainians are saying no. So the Russians are saying, well, then more war, until we can convince you, the Ukrainians, through military action, to come our way. It's a knock 'em sock 'em war right now to see who prevails.
Andrew, appreciate your analysis and your time as always. Andrew Rasiulis now.